Welcome to the RaspberrySky Straight Talking series. I am delighted to introduce you to Rob Paterson, the CEO of Best Western Hotel Group. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Sally, how are you?
I'm good. Actually, I was thinking you probably don't need much of an intro in the UK after your TV series.
Oh, let's not bring that up today, shall we?
Okay, well, let's move on to other things then. So digital maturity and digital customer journey. Can you first of all just give us a quick helicopter overview of Best Western Hotel Group? How many hotels, etc.?
Yeah, so with 307 hotels in Great Britain, we were rapidly growing up until the pandemic hit, and we've sort of turned into a bit of a trickle of growth. But we're still growing, which is good news. And it's a mix of, from a technology point of view, it's a mix of 7 different PMSs we're using here in the UK. So that presents its own challenge as well, because the hotels will range from being sort of very basic economy right through to beautiful castles which host weddings and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a big range of product.
That's an interesting portfolio to manage, isn't it? And so can you help us understand what your current digital customer journey offering is?
So we had to really scramble quickly for a solution. We've been working for I've been with Best Western since February 2018, and right from early days when I joined Best Western, we've had conversations with various PMS suppliers about how we can digitalize or automate our journey for whether it's kiosk check-in or mobile phone check-in or payments.
Yeah.
And we really hadn't moved too far because it's quite complicated with the number of PMSs. So in May, we had this challenge to say, well, we need an automated check-in. We've got about 2 weeks to launch this thing.
Wow.
So we were able to manage to quickly put something together, which in the end, when you're faced with a situation and there is no alternative, you somehow find a way.
Got it. Yeah.
And we found a way. So it's not perfect, but it digitizes the journey, and it allowed us to go out with a strong message to our customers to say, if you don't feel comfortable going to reception, you don't need to. We have a solution.
So, but does your current journey enable people to do pre-registration, and can they get their key, or do they pick up their key when they arrive at the hotel?
No, they pick up their key when they arrive in an envelope. So we had a COVID secure process around issuing the key, which involves sealing it in an envelope and handing it to the customer. And each key is then, when it's returned, is sanitized. So it's handed to the guest on arrival.
Okay, and then whilst they're on property, is there any kind of digital touch point during that in terms of guest messaging or being able to perhaps order, room service or anything like that?
Yeah, we looked at a couple of interesting little solutions. One of them as simple as WhatsApp for Business. Because on WhatsApp for Business, you can actually put a menu catalog, and people can order. But we started with that. We moved to an integrated solution. So we used the third party to do our pre-registration check-in, and that same third party also does all the in-house stuff. So once it's integrated with our main PMS. So once the customer checks in, then they'll get the in-room directory.
Right.
It used to be the in-room directory. They get that on their phone. So you've just checked in. Here's how the room works. Here's what you need to do if you need to enter a room service. Here's the menu. And it's a two-way conversation as well. So it's one way sending the information, but the customer can then use their phone to communicate back, whether that's to order food or order towels or feedback about the room, whatever it might be. They could use their own mobile phone to communicate.
Okay, and do they have a checkout process as well? Can they check out using the phone at the moment?
On the final day, we can send them the invoice.
Yeah.
It can differ. I guess it depends on if someone takes any variables after.
Yeah.
Because if you send it at midnight and they take breakfast in the morning, it's not going to have the breakfast on the bill. So you have those little nuances, but outside of that, yes, they can get the bill on their phone. And if they're happy with it, they just leave the key and just walk out. So it's checkout by walkout.
That's really good, isn't it? So what were your biggest challenges in terms of putting that in place? I mean, you had obviously a really short time frame, but you had been looking at it prior. So I guess you had some ideas in terms of who you would partner with. But what were some of your biggest challenges?
I think that multiple PMSs is probably the most difficult challenge, and payments was the other one. And in the end, we compromised on the payments. We did offer a solution where you could email a link to a customer prior to arrival and they could make a payment. at the hotel level, it wouldn't go into the PMS as a payment. The hotel would have to log into the and collect that payment and post it against the account. So we did offer that solution. It doesn't have a high take up. I think if you're a customer and you get a link on your phone saying click this link and enter your credit card details,
I know.
it doesn't usually go so well. So it's not fully automated. And what we did was we just used the PDQ on arrival. And I mean, if you've gone to Tesco's and used the self checkout, you go to or Waitrose or wherever, people are pretty commonly using those checkout pads, whether it be the screen or the actual PDQ machine. So we just had a protocol, a risk assessment around the PDQ machine, and made sure that we wiped it down each time. And that's how we managed the payments. So, and of course, we had the Perspex screens and
all the
other things.
Hygiene and safety bit. So, in your opinion, Rob, do you see the digitalization of the customer journey as a competitive advantage or a differentiator or a necessity?
We implemented it across the entire brand, and our TripAdvisor scores were immediately impacted in a positive way. So I think there is a customer expectation that a digital journey should be present in the hotel world. We're used to it for something like, go on a train line and you can book your ticket and you get your ticket within the Trainline app. Everyone's accustomed to it with travel, and hotels are just so far behind the curve. Yeah. And so I think there is an expectation from a customer point of view, irrespective of COVID-19. There's an expectation, and I think certainly that customers are happy with that. We saw that clearly with Village. Not every customer is going to use it. It's not trying to force somebody down a path. So I think you need to offer the alternative if someone doesn't want to use it. But I think the option needs to be there.
Do you see the digitalization of the customer journey as a revenue opportunity in terms of upsells and things, or do you see it as a cost saving exercise in terms of streamlining processes and things, or both?
Both, yeah, absolutely both. I think the revenue side of it is really interesting, because once you've digitized your journey, you can then use data to fine tune and optimize that journey really, really clearly, where offline that's a bit more challenging. So you can very quickly pick up trends of product placement, right? If I place my breakfast here and my upselling here and my dinner down here, what gives me the best conversion? And all of that information, that's just a very small example, but you can very quickly start to analyze which customer segments are likely to buy breakfast, which ones are likely to buy an upgrade, or all the different things that you would normally do across Google Analytics with a website, you can now apply to upselling. So I think absolutely it's a revenue opportunity, but equally it's a huge cost opportunity as well, because reality is we have so many back office jobs in hotels that people are just sitting there keying in data, whether that's processing a credit card for an advance payment, whether it's doing bill back scenarios. Bill back scenarios do my head in hotels.
You and the whole industry, I think.
So there is definitely an efficiency opportunity as well.
So where do you see the opportunities now? Now you've got this in place, where's your strategy in terms of future digitalization? What are you looking at doing?
There's a number of areas that I think will be here to stay beyond the crisis. I don't think they all will. And just an example of that is, I think nearly every pub at the moment, you go in and you order from your table, and the process is just so clunky, and it each time you open up the app, you've got to re-enter all your details.
Yes.
It's really not
register.
It doesn't actually improve the customer journey. It's great for the pub because they get to save a whole heap of cost, but it's not good for the customer. So I don't think it will stick everywhere. But I do think things that we have adopted in terms of the whole check-in and check-out process, the upselling process, and what that means to revenue management and to the customer, because there's a customer win and there's a hospitality win.
Yeah.
So I think where there's the win-win, it will stick.
That balance, isn't it?
Yeah, and it'll become integral. So we will definitely be accelerating our efforts around an automated check-in and mobile phone check-in and room service ordering, and all that sort of thing will definitely accelerate payments. But I think some of it will fall away when COVID finishes.
Great, Rob. Well, short and sweet, but look, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.